Good morning. I have 3 subscribers, so I know that you guys will be very excited to see me, and apparently so is Enzo. Hello, Enzo. Do you want to be in the video? Come on. Hello. Come on. You say hello. This is Enzo. Say hello. We're going to read a story together. Yeah, good boy. All right. He's going to go and listen. We're on the video. Today I thought I would read one of my favourite stories, Iggy, Peck, Architect. It is written by Andrea, Beatty, and illustrated by David Roberts. And so, shh, you have to listen. Iggy, Peck, Architect. Young Iggy Peck is an architect and has been since he was 2. When he built a great tower in only an hour with nothing but nappies and glue. Good gracious, Ignatius, his mother exclaimed, that's the coolest things I've ever seen. But her smile faded fast as a light wind blew past, and she realized those nappies weren't clean. Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks. But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn using dirt clods to build a great sphinx. Do you know where the sphinx is? You can't answer me. It's in Egypt, which is in Africa. We did a whole lesson on continents. We'll do another one, don't worry about it. But the sphinx is a very famous architectural wonder near the pyramids. And Iggy built one out of dirt on his garden. When Iggy was 3, his parents could see his unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples and temples from modeling clay. And this is the St. Louis Arch, which is a landmark in the United States of America in St. Louis, which is quite a famous. At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye, and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch. See, this is an example of how accents can affect rhymes. So porch and arch don't rhyme in my Australian accent, but this is an American book, I think, so it would be porch and arch, which kind of rhyme. And out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch, so that is a rhyme, but not in my accent, from pancakes and coconut pie. Interesting. I don't like this teacher. She's not very nice. Yeah, I don't like her hair either. Dear Ig had made it until 2nd grade when his teacher was Miss Lila Greer. On the very first day, he had this to say, we do not talk of buildings here. Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings, ancient or new. She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. Just like the real classroom, still drinking coffee. It might seem severe, but she was sincere, for when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour of the 95th floor, young Lila got lost from the group. She was found 2 days later stuck in an elevator, eating cheese with a French circus troupe. After that day, it's quite safe to say, she thought all building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she taught that above all one ought to avoid them, no ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts is one of those things that grown-ups say when they don't want you to argue. My dad used to say, end of story, and it drove me nuts. But you can say no ifs, ands, or buts because it means I don't want to listen to any discussion. For example, Enzo is going to have a cuddle now. No ifs, ands, or buts. So I have to stop reading for a second. Excuse me. All right, you stay there. Shh. As you might guess, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk. But he didn't hear. He sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck. Tear down that castle right now. You will not build in here. Is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal Howe? This page has really interesting use of space. Look, the whole space is blank except he's just sitting there by himself. I think they're trying to show us how he's feeling. How do you think he's feeling? Yeah, I can't hear you. I'm sure you were right. No, ma'am, Iggy said. He lowered his head and his heart sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now second grade was a bore. Ooh, I like the way that the words follow the picture on this page. Very interesting. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to the Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. You gotta wait. I know. They crossed an old trestle to a small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. Burbling. Onomatopoeia. Sound effects for our writing. A great one. Burble, burble, burble. That's the sound of the water. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed and Miss Lila Greer started to scream, "We're trapped here, oh my, alas kids, goodbye." Her eyeballs rolled back in her head. She dropped to the ground with a vague groaning sound, luckily fainted, not dead. Not a very good teacher. If I was on an excursion that happened, I probably wouldn't faint. No, I know, yeah, that's right. The class was amazed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one bright young man was off hatching a plan, which started with Miss Lila's shoe. Soon each lad and lass there at Blue River Pass was working together as one. Very STEAM page. They're doing lots of designing and building, aren't they? And when she came to, Miss Lila knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw hanging there a structure with cables and braces, and on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which one should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge in a glorious bridge, dangling from shoestring suspension. Trying to see what things... Oh, I see what things shouldn't be mentioned. Look. Oh, very cheeky. I don't know why they added that. Seems unnecessary. Now this is a really interesting page because we're looking at what she's imagining, and this is a very famous suspension bridge called the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. It all became clear to Miss Lila Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There were worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than to spend your time building a dream. Now every week at Blue River Creek, elementary and second grade, all the school can hear, along with Miss Greer, how the world's greatest buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker in T-shirt and speakers talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, he's the guy who builds towers from pie. That brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. And that's the end. So I really like that one because it's about a teacher who learns a lesson. And I like learning lessons, and I'm a teacher. So that's today's book. If you like it, I don't know, watch it. I'm not going to ask you to like it because that's weird. I don't want you to comment unless you want to. So just, watch it and I'll be like, oh, look, one of my kids watched it. Hooray, it was worth doing. So 8 minutes of my day done. And I'm going to go and cuddle Enzo and finish my coffee. And, oh, the last thing I wanted to show you. Some of our seedlings from our class experiment. They're growing really, really well. So I've been doing lots of gardening. My hands are all dirty, but that's okay. And hopefully I'll have some food I can show you guys that we've grown soon. Okay, see you next time. Bye. Love you.